All right, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is for you. We are at a County Commissioners Call Board meeting. This is your agenda today. This is to discuss the Mercer University possibly bringing a clinic to Ashburn. We have representatives from Crisp Regional here, and you see there are plenty of representatives from the community. There are in fact so many people, we had to move the meeting out of the regular board meeting room into here for making sure we had enough room. I cannot guarantee the audio quality because we have air conditioning running in here. I do have the microphone set up there, and we shall see how this works out. Brought in the flags. Looks like we a minute or two away from starting. People still coming in. I expect them to continue to come in even after the meeting starts. Alrighty. I'm giving you as much of a view of everybody as I can. And that's the best I can do.
now we're passing out a survey. If you have a pen, I think we have some pens we're passing. If you have pens that you need, you can fill those out and bring those to whenever the event is over, you can drop them off at the front table. So please add your feedback for us. We appreciate it. this meeting to order. We're going to start with an invocation by Mr. Baker.
If you would please. Lord, we come before you on this day, and we just thank you for the many blessings you've seen fit to give us, Lord. Even the things we don't know about that you keep away, those are blessings, and we give you thanks for them, Lord. As we come forward this day, we ask you to give our farmers what they need to grow our crops, put a hedge of protection around those in public safety. Lord, bless each and every person and the families represented here today, and as we go forward to meet, we pray that you put wisdom on this board of county commissioners, that they can make the right decisions in your sight for a better community, where you will be proud to say, yes, I do live there. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. If you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Second. All in favor? Okay. Motion carries. All right. And with that, I think we will kick off our meeting today. I know we're all super excited today to hear from our guests from Mercer University. I would like to introduce them to speak to everyone today. We have Dr.
I'm Dr. Jean Sumner.
Dr. Jean Sumner, who is the dean, as well as Dr.
Lorraine Sumner.
Lorraine Sumner, who is a physician,
I'm physician and director of the rural
physician director of the rural clinics, as well as Ms.
Glenda Grant, I'm at the Georgia Rural Health Innovation Center, Mercer U.
Glenda Grant, and finally,
Melanie Townsend, finance.
Ms. Melanie Townsend, the finance department. We're super happy to have you all here, and everyone here today is super excited to hear from you. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, man, I'll stand up. I'm Jean Sumner. I grew up in Sandersville, Georgia. I live in Blacksburg, Georgia, and I'm sorry we're late, but we ended up at the water treatment plant, I think. So I should say that GPSs don't work that well in my thing. But, anyway, we're glad to be here. We're here to learn more about Turner County, to listen and to talk to your leadership. But, and I know that, I'm sorry I didn't get to the last meeting, I assume some of you weren't here either, so I want to tell you a little about Mercer, and what we're trying to do. You know, Mercer's been in Georgia since 1834. We didn't close during the Civil War, and we didn't close during COVID, so we're the longest open university in the state. The School of Medicine was created in 1982 to provide physicians for rural Georgia. That is why we exist. That's why we receive some state funding. Now, state funding nor tuition covers the cost of training medical students, but we appreciate the funding we have, and we are 100% committed to our mission. Everything we do at the school, the scholarships, the way we teach, the students we pick, has to do with rural Georgia. If you look across America, and MD programs across the country, only 4.3% of the young people who go to medical school grew up in small towns. And I think that's sad. At Mercer, we're between 40 and 50% truly rural, and 25 rural counties less than 50,000. And we're 70% outside the metropolitan Atlanta, which I take as a great point of pride. I like people in Atlanta, I have grandchildren who live near Atlanta, but they're not coming to South Georgia to practice medicine. So we look for young people from your county and from surrounding counties. And we have some county constituents from Turner County, and we have some people who are making that path to medical. I've been the dean for 9 years. Prior to that, I practiced medicine in Washington, Johnson County. My family's been practicing medicine in Washington County for 200 years. The reason, I believe passionately that good medicine can be practiced in a small town. I tell our students, you can't be a bad doctor in a small town, because they will talk about you and take you with you. And so, we believe in really turning out bright young people who are extremely well trained to provide the primary care that you need in a community like this. But I've been the dean for about 9.5 years now, and one of the things we realize is we can educate these young people, but if they don't have a place to work, they're not coming back home. They don't have the support and the money it takes to start a clinic. And if so we pitched this idea to our president, Bill Underwood, about starting a series of clinics. And, you know, he's a lawyer, but he's a good guy, and he was interested, and he said, we can't do that now, I don't think that's a priority. President Carter, Jimmy Carter was on the board of trustees, and they lost their doctorate in claims. And President Carter called out to President Underwood and said, we lost our doctor, I need a doctor. And 2 weeks later, President Carter wrote back and said, Bill, where's my doctor? So the president called us at that time and said, you know that plan you had for clinics? Well, let's get it going. We're gonna put a clinic in claims. And so we actually, President Carter was kind enough to say, we have this great building, it's wonderful, because Mercer, we are a lean, mean machine. I mean, you know, we don't have excess staff or anything else. Everybody at Mercer works pretty hard. But we don't have a lot of money to go out and build a building and do things like that. So we asked for a partnership with the community. President Carter said, I have a beautiful little building, y'all can rent from us. So I got with my team in the car and we went down to Plains. Well, the building in Plains, with all due respect, looked like a football concession stand. It was concrete block, it was lime green, and I thought the president's gonna kill me if I put a clinic in this building. But we used local contractors, local staff, we hired local people, we hired a local doctor, and we were open in about 8 weeks. And we were booked for about 4 months. So we had to back off because I believe our doctors should see walk-ins, and if somebody's 102, they shouldn't have to come to your office to see. But, so that was our first clinic. We put in an x-ray lab, we hired a local doctor, and we supported that clinic. And now Dr. Sumner is in that clinic temporarily, but she lives close to the Turner County. And we are not kidding. I married one, and I've known of Dr. Sumner for years, but I've actually never really gotten to know her well until she started coming to work for us. And she's been forward. But that clinic led to 7 clinics total. We went from, it doesn't hurt to have a former president advocating for you, because we got calls literally from around the world on our clinic. Germany Public Radio came to Macon and said they were having a clinic, a problem with rural health in Germany. They didn't have enough doctors in Macon. Well, because of that, we got a call from Fort Valley, and the doctor there said, I've been here for 25 years, I can't recruit anybody to take my place, and I've worked really hard to help my county be healthy. I'll give you my practice, if you'll come run it, and I'll stay with you for a couple of years. And the hospital system, and we did that, we had really good practitioners out there. Our hospital system decided that they would buy that building, and we had to move. So we lost our clinic in Fort Valley, but we now have 6 clinics. We've only been where we've been invited to go. We never go where, you know, we try to go where they don't need us. We don't wanna go where we're not needed. We get calls every week about going somewhere. I got a call not too long ago from a gentleman from Southeast Georgia who wanted us to come to his town, and I said, how many doctors do you have? He said, we have 17 doctors. He said, you don't need a nursing clinic. We're gonna go where people say you can't make a living, and where people say there's not enough patients, but we tend to go where there are no active doctors. We want to build a community. We don't wanna try to compete with good systems that are there. We don't try to compete. We don't bring anything from the outside in that would hurt anything local. We try to just support who's there. We try to use the local pharmacy, the local hospital, the local x-ray, but we put in a high quality physician and usually have limited x-ray lab, possibly ultrasound if needed. We try to have an advanced practice person in addition to a physician. We ask our doctors to live and work in the area where they're assigned, because we don't believe a community doctor makes much difference. You gotta be invested in the community, you gotta be the football doctor, and you gotta, you know, go to church with the people you care for. You gotta know the community. So that's our model. Now, we don't do it alone. We have to have help, with, you know, first of all, community support. You know, you can't break into a small town if you don't know some folks and trust that they develop trust. We believe in doing what we say and saying what we do. We don't leave, you know, if we commit, unless you run us off, we'll be here for the long haul. We want to put a clinic where a clinic needs to be and stay there. We're not a corporate entity that you see in medicine so much now. We just a medical school trying to open doors for rural Georgia to be healthier and to have a place for our students. never try to bring in specialists from somewhere else and send patients down the road, because the last thing you wanna do is leave this community if you can get the care you need here. So that's how we run. Now, I'll give you an example of county, Clay County is in Gaines, it's on the west border of Georgia. It's a very, very poor county. It was 159 in health status. And the state actually called us and said, would you consider putting a clinic there? And, you know, I believe in rural health. I believe that you can practice really good medicine in small towns because you know your patients so well. And so I'm up for anything. But we drove over to Clay County, and honestly, I thought, there's no way on earth we're gonna be able to put a clinic here. They didn't have a school system, they didn't have a pharmacy, they didn't even have a restaurant except for the gas station. And I thought, how can we do this? And we need some support and partners on it. There were some older people who retired over there. One was a doctor from Vanderbilt who retired, one was a professor from Georgia Tech that discovered something, got rich young and decided he'd go fish at that lake down there. They got a grant from One Georgia, and we refurbished the old hospital that had closed in the 70s. We put a public health department in the same building with us. We hired a good doctor, a good PA, and the health status in 1.5 years went from 159 to 112. And that is a significant jump in health status. That doctor actually left us. We just hired another really good doctor who's coming July 1st. And we'll stay open in Clay County. They got 2 pharmacies now. They actually have 2 restaurants now. So we're moving over that. So if you're down there fishing, go by our clinic. It's a pretty clinic. We try to I mean, I don't believe you have to make it look fancy, but I think every clinic should look nice to respect the patients and the services we offer. So we try to make the clinic look very nice. If you know Mercer, you know we're orange, and so we bring a lot of orange with us. So that's who we are. But we're glad to learn more about Turner Clinic. We're glad to hear what you think. We're glad to hear what you think we should do. And you know, we don't want to ever cross any kind of line in terms of us thinking that we're here to, you know, if you don't want us here, or we're here because if somebody else doesn't want us here. We don't wanna fight a battle. We wanna go where we're needed, stay there and make a difference. So that's who we are. You wanna add anything to that? Your experience?
Well, so I'm Lorraine Sumner. I took over last year. It's actually been a full year now since I took over as the medical director of the rural clinics. I work in our Plains clinic. When I first started, I was going 2 days a week to Fort Gaines because we didn't have a position there, and 2 days a week to Plains. We lost our nurse practitioner after our physician retired in Plains, so I'm now full-time in our Plains clinic. I was born and raised in Tiffin, and so I am a product of Mercer, and I believe that this is, Dean Sumner believes, I believe in the mission of our school and of this project. I went to Mercer for college, med school, and residency, so my ties to Mercer run deep, and I want to see them succeed, because if they succeed, I succeed. And I think if Mercer medicine succeeds, our communities also succeed. So I practiced in Tifton for 18 years before I joined Mercer Medicine, and I see lots and lots of faces in the crowd today of former patients and some current patients that followed me to Plains. And part of the reason that we are here is because a lot of the patients that I see reached out to me, reached out to our school and said, would you guys consider coming to Turner County? We don't have a full-time position here. We've lost a hospital here, and so we feel like we need improvement in our healthcare system. I know that we have some healthcare in this community. As Dean Sumner said, we are not here to try and run anybody off. We are not here to battle with anybody. There's plenty of patients for everybody here. And we want to provide a little bit of a different service than what your express cares basically are providing. And so I'm hoping that we can do something here.
I talked to them a lot
That's what I forgot. The last time we had a death at the university, our provost died suddenly. I couldn't come. Townsend is our person who you met. So we're glad to answer questions, and maybe some answers I don't have, but I'll get to you that. But here we are. I'd like to hear what you think. You know, if you have something positive to say or negative to say, we're open to anything. So I'm glad to be here. You know, I'll tell you about how we run it. I can tell you that we run it very efficiently and try to keep as many services as we can in the community. That, you know, we don't, somebody said we bring in outside. Down the road, if there's a need for somebody to come in with a certain specialty we can work with, if there's one in the area, we work with that person, and not try to get somebody to come periodically. But that's not our goal. Our goal is high quality primary care. If you've experienced the healthcare system today, it's broken, you know. And the problem is you gotta have a doctor. You gotta have a doctor or a nurse practitioner, somebody who looks out and who is available and answers their phone. I believe passionately in that. It's where I was raised, it's the way I practiced, it's the way my brothers practiced in San Antonio, my father and grandfather. So we try to model the things after that. When you really know somebody as a patient, you can tell from voice inflection if something's wrong. I used to tell some of those old farmers that came in and they'd say, "Doc, ain't nothing wrong with that." If you're sitting in my office, there's something wrong with you. So either we're gonna sit here for 2 hours or you're gonna tell me that. You know, it really is a privilege to practice in a small town. There's a lot of things where you won't make any money, and truthfully, sometimes people say, well, you know, you can't make any money down there. There's nothing but poor people down there. Well, no, they're not. The payer mix in most areas is essentially the same. Downtown Atlanta and downtown Macon are probably very similar to the payer mix in Turner County, or I live in Johnson County, Wrightsville, we're poor. We grapevine for all living down there. So, so if you practice good medicine, you're nice to people come. And so we are worried about bringing you a quality product more than, a quality care, much more so than whether we can make money. We're really trying to bring you a good service and break it up to our goal. So, and help grow the medical community. I don't think that doctors compete. That may be a simplistic look at it, because if you have more doctors in this community, people will come to Turner County for care. The average number of zip codes that one of our clinics, I think it claims, drew 22 zip codes. But people come there for services if you're good at what you do. And you're nice. So I didn't mean to pick on the piggy boo, you got on piggy boo.
Either way you play that, you may see my shirt drop that one.
That's fine. I left my piggy with me in Lysville, so I only grocery stores, I'm a piggy boo. What can we answer? What are you concerned about? Are there commissioners?
Yes, well, thank you so much, Dr. Sumner. I think we'll start with some questions from the board, and then we'll open it up to the audience. And very informative and super appreciative for all that you all do in the medical community and taking care of people every day. So thank you all. So board, I have a couple questions. I know Commissioner Calhoun, do you have any questions for Mercer today?
Pretty much everybody in the room's calling me and everybody else wanting to get here, so I wanna know, what will it take for us to get you here? What are y'all requiring of us?
Well, I want to give you a truthful answer, and I can't today.
Okay, that's a good answer.
You know, I hadn't looked at the building, so I mean, and that's my fault, I couldn't be here last time, and we got lost coming down here today, so we messed that plan up. But I'd like to look at the building, and then really talk about it's more important for us to know what you think you need, what can we provide as well as anybody. And I'll give you a straight answer, but I just can't give you a straight answer today. But we'll get together on that.
We would love to have the opportunity to have that.
So building on that building is extremely large. Based on what you said in terms of what you primarily bring, you would be open to co-locating with some other organization in that building, if we can make that work? Because it is really, really a big building. So would you be willing to share that space with someone else?
Well, I mean, I'd like to look at it, and we work well with others. I think it's real important that a healthcare space be, not a public space. People come to the doctor and they don't want the whole world to know they're coming to the doctor sometimes. But if there's a way to protect the patient privacy, I mean, I don't think that would be an issue. I think that's, I wouldn't say I'm opposed to it, I just don't know the answer. But let's go look at it, and I'm sure if it's that good, probably be right.
Okay, so the next question is, I've gotten a lot of calls, specifically about Dr. Sumner and her care. And as the director of the rural clinics, if this happens, would she be the provider for Turner County, or would it be another practitioner? Would it be a nurse, practitioner, or a GP? I think that is a lot of folks' concern. Who's going to be the provider at this house?
Well, it's a little premature to say, but I can tell you that if Lorraine Sumner wants to be the provider in Turner County, yes, she can be the provider in Turner County. Even though I'm the dean, we all have jobs, other jobs, so she's the director because she's the most experienced rural practitioner we have and does a superb job. But she's in Plains now, we moved to Turner County, so, and apparently we went to her house while we were on the road.
You've answered several of my questions when you were speaking. So it's my understanding that you currently have some type of relationship with Chris Regional, which has a footprint here in Turner County. And they brought a doctor in that works about 30 hours a week. One of the questions we had for Chris and now for you is there a way to maybe merge that relationship to support the model? So I'd ask, is that something that you would consider, or is that not really feasible based on your relationship with Chris? If that is in fact the case.
Chris was a great place. Mr. Gottman texted me this morning, wanted to talk to me, and I thought we'd be here a little earlier. He said one of his representatives was here. Is that right?
We have Dr. Hewitt.
Dr. Hewitt's here, Dave Kicker, Vice President.
Absolutely, the purpose of us coming is not to replace them. If we do harm to that environment, we have not done our job. We want to work with whoever wants to work with us, and I'm sure we can find a way.
Now, I don't know that that means we're gonna merge with them, but we can find a way to work with them.
Right, and I just don't, we have 3 providers in the county today. One's in urgent care, and then, Southwell and Clayton have a modified urgent care plus routine care. So, I'm sure I'm not using that medical terminology, but
If we destroy something that's here, we're not doing our job. But truthfully, I think all health systems worry a little about taking patients away. I don't know which is closer, but patients get a choice. We wanna make sure they get the choice of where they wanna go. And if it's an emergency, they'll go to the nearest facility. But we have a great relationship with Chris, but in my opinion, we do other projects with him through our children's initiative. So we're not here to undermine anybody.
And on the affiliation, so, as far as referrals, most clinics are trying to refer their patients to the sponsoring hospital. In this case, if Mercer was to be here, would the patients have the option to be referred to the provider of their choice? In other words, would they all have to go to Mercer, or could they go to the particular hospital?
Mercer didn't own the hospital.
But I mean, as far as, do you have relationships up in that area that they would have to go to?
Patients get to say where they go.
Okay.
Unless they're dying, and, in the EMS, it's gonna take them to the closest place. So, sometimes patients can't say where they go. They may wanna go somewhere that can't take care of a heart attack, and you have to give them your best advice. But it's a free country, and you get to say where you wanna go. But as a physician, you might say, they don't provide this service, and I would recommend you go there, because that service is there. But other than that, patient is a free choice.
And then, you had briefly mentioned in your earlier conversation, statements that you would be open to working with, so in, some of our local communications, it's been stated that you would be bringing over dialysis, cancer treatments. In fact, that's not what you're set up to do. You would find a way to refer the patient or create a locally,
I
and
know,
so.
I heard that, news the next morning, and so I think it was misinterpreted. You know, we just, in some of our clinics, we have OBGYN care, but we do not, that person doesn't deliver babies, doesn't do surgery. We're outpatient facility. So, it's not hard for, I mean, if this building is big and somebody, and let's say Chris is an OB and wants to come here twice a week or once a month or twice, whatever needed, that would be good. I mean, build those alliances or whatever.
I just wanted to clarify that because it was, people were led to believe you were gonna be able to do part of the services, regular services would be like dialysis and cancer treatments. And I think people need to understand that, have good expectations of what we're talking about.
Well, dialysis is a whole nother ballgame, and it's not something we would do in this clinic. Dialysis is really run by, organizations now. They're very, like, and some of them have gone bankrupt, but we wouldn't have the capacity to bring in dialysis.
Okay, and I'm just trying to set expectations, clarify what I didn't ask. And then, there was some telemed discussions, and, I think, right now, I think the building has to be kind of resolved, but, the sheriff had mentioned about telemed services, and that maybe we could build a relationship to provide some of the current medical treatment he gets through another mechanism, through a telemed service through Mercer. So that's something I think down the road we would like to investigate.
In one of our clinics, the doctor there does do some work with the sheriff. Telemedicine is something I know a good bit about. It would have to be high quality telehealth where you can actually examine the patient by telemedicine, not a video chat. But it's probably easier for the doctor to either go to the jail or, I know it's not easy for the prisoner to come to the office, but that sort of thing. Telemedicine done properly is okay. And if you're my patient and I chat with you through a screen, we know each other and we know a lot about each other, and it's better than a telephone call. But for a new patient, the rules in Georgia really require you to have an exam. And that can be done by telemedicine. But it has to be the kind of telemedicine you look here, nose and throat, listen to heart rhythm. So there are very strict rules around it, and we wanna make sure the care we provide is high quality.
There's a way to maybe work with our sheriff in providing him some services.
It's great, we like sheriffs.
I think you've answered most of my questions, including what I've asked and heard your comments, so I think I'm good.
Thank you. Yes, so my first question is, sure if you're aware, but we aren't the most, we're not the community that has extremely a lot of revenue. And I know you all speak of a lot of grant funding and things of that sort, and how you get this building, and, wanting to have a conversation with us on what we can offer. And certainly we're not in the business of healthcare outside of supporting our, health department. What is the funding process has looked like for past agreements that you all, for past clinics? What type of grants did you all have? Did you have your own grant writers? We don't have grant writers. We're trying to get our own grant writers for our community. Do you have your own grant writers? What does those agreements look like, and what types of expectations have you requested from other communities? As you know, as shared, we have Chris Regional, who has a clinic here. We have Southwell, who has a clinic here, and they came, they found a space, and they set up their shop, and didn't have to come to our board for that. So what is unique about this situation where what are some of the things that you've done in the past, and versus you all maybe finding another building that may be smaller? If this building was too big, would you all be interested? If you found this building was too big, would you be interested in getting a smaller building? And would that still require support from the board of commissioners?
There's a lot of questions there.
I asked a lot of questions.
In terms of grants, and funds, the community, we give the building our direction, but they use local contractors. We don't wanna bring in a crew. If you've got a carpenter here in Turner County, we'd like to use that guy.
Right.
We laid it out for them and made some plans for them, but they refurbished that building.
Who paid for it?
Mercer to some degree, but that was President Carter, and that was our first clinic. The second clinic was in Fort Valley. That was completely there for us to take. It was a current clinic, it just moved in. The third clinic was in Fort Gaines, they got a One Georgia grant. The fifth clinic was in, well, we got Taylor, they got a good. Putnam, and the space was already ready to go. It was a doctor, it was been built out as a doctor's office, it was empty, and we moved into it, it was a nice office. The next clinic was Harris, the community gave us the library, they had shut their library down, and they refurbished the library, put a new roof, put in air conditioning, and we moved into that. The other, Jekyll Island invited us to come to Jekyll. You don't think about Jekyll being rural, but they have 800,000 visitors, but USDA says they're rural. So they had built a clinic space and could not get a clinic to come. So they refurbished it, at their cost, and we moved into that, put in a doctor and all. So we always have some help, and the help is a little different everywhere we go. We try to work with the community in terms of identifying a grant, helping you with the grant. We can certainly help. We do have grant writers, but the data has to come from the county. So you guys should help us get the data needed to put in that grant. You know things about your county that are harder to find. So we could work with you to help get a grant written.
Okay. And, if not, if we aren't able to get a grant, would you all be funding all the renovations and things that you need on your own?
Well, it is hard for us to do that, because we're not a hospital, and, it's hard for us to put the money into it. We'll hire the doctor, we'll hire the staff, we give them benefits. If you work for Mercer, if you're a young person and have children, we pay you a fair wage, we give you health insurance, retirement, and your children can come to Mercer University for free. So we give really good benefits where we go, but we don't have excess money to put into a building, just because
We're a nonprofit.
yeah, we're a nonprofit, and we spend our money doing good work, so there are a lot of nonprofits that have a lot of money, we're not one of them. But our word's good, and we're here to stay, so.
So would that mean that I'm correct in saying that if Mercer were to come in and we were to, form a deal for the TV building, that would require us to fund the renovations, all the renovations we need, whether it be out of our, taxpayers' money or a grant?
Well, I hope it's not the taxpayers' money, I hope it's a grant.
Okay. And, yeah, I hope it's a grant as well. Okay, I think that answers one question. And then when it comes to the, I asked you, would you be interested in another building? And you mentioned that Harris, they gave the library and refurbished it and you moved into it. And Harris, you didn't say that was a grant. How was that? Who refurbished it? How was
They did some local
it
fundraising, they just locally fundraised.
Okay, local
And,
fundraising.
had some fundraisers, and I don't think there was any grant involved in
I don't
Harris.
think so.
They just had people who donated to
The
dollars.
community.
They put out those little change things at the gas station.
Raise the money,
you know,
okay.
raising money.
Okay. That sounds like a good idea.
We went over and did a lot of meetings with community leaders, they had 3,000 school children in Hamilton, which is Harris County, every day, and there was no doctor in Hamilton. When you go to Callaway Gardens, you don't realize there's no doctor in that county at all.
Okay.
There is now, well,
Great. Okay, that gives, sheds a lot of light for me, especially as it comes to, the fiscal responsibility we have. I think everyone would be very proud to have Mercer here, but as we are trying to pay our bills, as it is.
I live in Johnsonville, one of the poorest counties in the state, and I understand that.
Yeah,
I grew up in Washington was fortunate to have killing companies, but we go into the poorest counties. And we're not trying to take advantage of the county. That's not our purpose. We're here because we were invited to come and look, and we wanna help them.
okay.
So partners that are here, be good citizens. It's not to make a fortune, we don't do that. We haven't yet, I know the president is trying to,
Got it.
we got.
And are there cases where those communities who have, supported your setup or furnishing the renovations or property where they have been required to have more financial contributions, or is it just once you guys are set up and going, there won't be more requesting of more, contributions from the community?
Once we're up and running.
We've never.
Okay.
It's just an initial.
So do you pay rents in some of these places, or?
Yeah.
And then you cover utilities and all the expenses associated with the building?
The rent is probably,
Some of the leases include the electricity and gas, some of them do.
Okay, and then finally, like the insurances that are collected at your clinic, do you all collect, well, do you, is that?
we accept it, and that's a whole nother story, we can talk about insurance companies if you want to, but.
Yeah.
They're difficult for everybody in healthcare, I hope none of y'all sell that kind of insurance. But it's who we are in they credential us with all the insurance companies in the area that let you in, but it's a different word for that. But we take everything.
Okay.
We take Medicare, Medicaid, we take dual eligible, we take private insurance.
Okay.
We have a sliding scale for people.
Do you work with the VA?
We do.
Would the billing be done through Mercer?
Pardon?
Would the billing be done through the Mercer Billing Department?
Yes.
Yes.
That is all my questions, thank you for answering them. Mr. Commissioner?
I just got one thing to add, to the taxpayers and the board. We can pay for this with SPOS funds for no cost to the taxpayer. Most of our SPOS dollars come off the interstate, so we wouldn't have to use any general fund money or any, taxpayer money to do this.
I will add to that we don't have a lot of SPOS money. There's not an exorbitant.
We spend it like 3 times.
There's not an exorbitant amount of SPOS money available in our accounts at all. With that, do you have any more comments?
Yeah.
All right, with that.
I have one save round, sorry. What timeline are you looking if this is agreed to spin this up?
Well, it usually takes us about a year, a little more, but I think we gotta have some conversations and lay it out. We want everybody to be on the same page, and we wanna be truthful and transparent. So we've got to sit down and talk about so I can't tell you right now, but.
Is there any data that shows collection of revenue for the community through tax base, or where y'all came and improved taxes, and to show that their investment will be returned in tax base and
That's a
and
great
stuff? I know it grows, and we got restaurants, and we got jobs.
Yeah, jobs and revenue, there's also a lot of good academic data that shows that clinicians in rural communities can do better financially than doctors in cities because they draw from a larger area as long as they're good doctors. But industry, you think about, well, even the sheriff, if you could save the county money to see improvements, that helps. If companies want workman's comp to be locally sometimes, instead of sending them 25 miles, we can send them 5 miles. Things like that matter. School children that get health care do better in school, they're less work days missed from work, and get something out of it. And if you think about healthcare in general, if you have a really good doctor who sees you and can see you, you don't have to wait 3 weeks to see somebody who have a sore throat. You can get back to work sooner. Most things in medicine now, if you pick them up early, you can significantly impact them, if not cure them. Cancer, if you find it early, is curable most of the time, not always. And we really work to help build that community trust that we can impact health status and keep people healthy. So yeah, there is data, but that's a really good question. I haven't ever gotten that one, so thank you for that. Healthcare does
Like I said,
impact economic.
We invest in a lot of things that don't generate revenue, but if we invest in things that actually generate a revenue and build our community up, then it's an improvement, it's not just holding the line.
Well, if you think about just the two pharmacies and the two restaurants that came back, Clay County, that's not a big deal, but you're much more likely to live there if you got a doctor and a pharmacy.
There's also definitive data from Georgia Hospital Association that shows when a doctor comes to town, how much revenue that doctor generates. And we can get that to you fairly easily. It's generated every year, and they send it out to broadcast.
I got a couple of questions.
I think Mr. VP Cal can
I do wanna invest in Mercer at some level. I'm not saying give the farm away, but I want to make an investment for the county because I believe it is gonna make the citizens healthier. Maybe we'll be transporting less ambulance calls to Tifton instead of 7 times a day. Chris will do better. Chris can hire more people to his pharmacy, I hope. That'll grow, and I hope he will. The restaurants will spend more money in the restaurants, we'll spend more money, we'll make them fill up with gas, that should be a requirement. And shop at Piggly Wiggly, but I think bringing in more, the numbers, I heard of her patients going to Plains, I'd rather them stop in Turner County and spend their money here. But there's a balance, you know, we can invest so much, but I do wanna have that conversation.
Who is Chris?
He runs a rank pharmacy in Ashburn.
I married a pharmacist.
First off,
I've always said I was Dr. Son and wife in Johnson County. They took advice from Joe, but they took me.
for those of who don't know, hadn't been to the commission meetings, I would like for one of the commissioners to explain what is on the table for them to come. What is the county have to offer, so that we'll know what, you know, some people don't know that wasn't here in meetings before, and what building you're talking about, and what, you know, what the deal is. So somebody, one of y'all would explain that about the building, and what there is to offer them to come. And then the next question I can ask when you get to doing that.
We bought the Phoebe building some time back, and it was built for a doctor's clinic, from the ground up. All it's ever been used for, other than a therapy place they had there. So it's already, you know, it's got the examination rooms there, and it's got, some big rooms in back. I think they had X-ray there and all that stuff. So, you know, the reception desk, the whole thing is pretty much plug and play, other than some renovations, you know, that's gotta be done. So we actually own the building that they would be,
And I would follow
that
that,
would suit them, you know.
I would follow that up with, you know, this building was purchased for other uses for expanding our health department, and it cost us over $350,000 that didn't have any way of returning that money. $350,000 of taxpayers' money was used to buy a clinic that is now a negative in our bank account, that if we were to now invest more into Mercer, it's more on top of the $350 investment that it costed to purchase the building that we didn't make any money back off of. And now there's an additional investment that's gonna be required on top of the $350,000 that we spent to buy a clinic. Why is the county government buying a medical facility in the first place?
I wouldn't throw my $350,000 away because I couldn't turn it into something.
Oh, no, and there's other issues with the building.
We had to put another $250,000 to make them a building, they're done, and you increase the tax revenue by $250,000 in a 5-year period, you've offset it, and now from that moment forward, they stay 10, we pay for it.
That's very hypothetical, and that would have been what we had expected with PV, and that did not happen, and we all wanted that to happen with PV, and it didn't happen, and of course, that is hypothetical, and of course, we would love for that to happen, and I think all of us would agree, if that were the case, we would all be 100% in favor of making that happen.
And there's secondary factors with the building. Initially, we were led to believe that it was walk-in ready. There's some things we have to address with that building that are gonna be very costly, in addition to any renovations that we would need to do for Mercer. So we need to make sure that we understand completely what it's gonna cost from an investment perspective, because our reserves have gone down significantly. And so we just don't want to walk into this emotionally. We wanna make sure that we can show you financially how we're gonna address it, as well as, you know, all of the goodness that it brings to the community. So we don't wanna just rush into this, and make a mistake that hurts the community. And we wanna make sure that Mercer's set up for success if we do this.
We don't want them to fail, that doesn't help anybody.
Can I make one comment before we go to the other question? I know, I mean, I live in Tippah County, okay, born and raised there. Like I said, I see tons of faces I know. So I know, I have family from Turner County, so I kinda know a lot about Turner County as well. I know y'all have been burned by groups that have come here and said they were gonna offer this, and they were gonna offer that, and you're gonna have a doctor, and you're gonna have this. I'm telling you right now that unless Dean Sumner tells me I cannot come to this clinic, if we open this clinic, this is where I'm coming to. I have at least 18 more years of practice now, okay? And I am not planning on going anywhere. And so, just like she said, the only way we leave is if you tell us to leave. So, I want you to know that I take that very seriously when we come to the community, particularly a community that I have ties to. Because no matter what happens, whether we come, whether we don't come, I still gotta look at most of y'all in the face when you come to see me in Plains, okay? And I know that quite a few of the faces that I haven't seen since I left Tipton have expressed that they wanted to return to my care if I am closer. And so, you have my word that it is not going to be like you have experienced in the past where you got burned.
Appreciate it. We have a question
She
from.
is correct. I have been her patient all her 18 years in Tipton, and now I'm in Plains, and she means what she says.
I 100% believe that Dr. Sumner is an amazing doctor, and that is shown by all the people that have shown up today. And I don't think anyone on this board would disagree or feel like Dr. Sumner is not a great doctor and we don't want her here. I think she's an amazing, excellent doctor. We all want her to be here, but we also need to talk about how is it going to be funded and what is it going to cost for every taxpayer in the community, and how does that impact our bottom line?
So you rather the building just sit there than put someone in it?
We never.
Yeah, but you're talking about how much it's gonna cost to fix this building. But yet if we don't get somebody in it, it's gonna continue to go down. And so you'd rather that $350,000 or whatever sit there with nothing in it and let it go down more.
Excuse me.
And I have some.
Excuse me, I wanna make sure we maintain order in the meeting. Thank you, ma'am, and everyone will get a chance to speak. Thank you for expressing yourself. I've never said that I would want any building.
No, I'm not saying you
Okay,
said it.
okay, then we wouldn't, I don't think anyone on this board would want a building to sit there and nothing to happen with it. I don't think anybody would want that. We have this man right here who kindly would like to ask a question as well.
All right. Two quick questions to Mercer. Number one, will this be a teaching facility also? Will residents come flow through, as a teaching facility?
We typically restrict our clinics except students who come here. Because when you see a doctor in a small town that's happy, that's doing good work, you wanna be like that doctor. That's how people decide what they wanna do in the world, is to see a mentor.
So it
But
will be a teaching.
we'll have teaching, so we'll also potentially have a resident occasionally, which is a higher level of student, but we're not trying to turn this into just teaching, we're trying to turn it into a service to the community.
So your residents, your RNs and might flow through?
Sure.
As a teaching facility, okay. And one more, is there any way that the county will be responsible for any of this imaging care?
I mean, I don't know the rules around county's responsibility. I think there are some rules that counties are charged at the state level, but from us, no, we agree with that.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to ask a question? Oh, we have, yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna say I appreciate all the commissioners, and I understand it's your job to ask questions and to get the answers to the questions before you make a decision. But I was looking through, something popped up on my computer yesterday, and you need to be aware, like, our healthcare in this county, we're like, it shows that our life expectancy for the state of Georgia is over 4 years less than the state average. we're like about 35 from the bottom on life expectancy for this county. And so it is time, there's no way of thinking that we have enough quality medical care in this county. And then I want to speak to the reputation of Mercer University. I have my oldest grandson is a graduate of Mercer. He was fortunate enough to be a presidential scholar for Mercer. And at the time, he was a very good student. He had lots of opportunities. He also wanted to play football. So he decided to go to Mercer, where he could play football and be a presidential scholar. I cannot tell you how great the experience was for a child that is at Mercer University. I now have a second grandchild that will be an interim freshman this fall, who will also play softball, who's interested in going to medical school. Now, a lot of kids are interested in going to medical school, but most of the time that does not work out. But if you've got a good student, they have a medical school, an engineering school, a law school. If you're a good student at Mercer University and can pass the entrance things, you are virtually guaranteed a spot in those higher education things. I think it's important to recognize the reputation that Mercer has really in the world now. And we know we need businesses here and we need factories here. And we've got a lot of businesses that have just left. It's much easier if we can get Mercer here, which has a great reputation. That could be the springboard for other things for our county to come in here. I appreciate the fact, Mr. Burgess, that you're concerned about the money. But at this point, it's not gonna cost enough money to make a difference in your county budget, I don't think. Plus, we have a Turner County Development Authority. I don't know how much money they have, but I'm sure there's a way to structure this, that this would be an aid into industrial development. So that's a thing that could be looked at as far as getting the funding. I don't think we need to look at the ways we can't get it. I think we need to look at the ways that we can get Mercer to come here. And that we should be honored for them to even be considering coming to our community, because we are a lower income community. We need a spark to get us started off to a little better road here. Now, as far as Dr. Sumner, she was my doctor. I will admit, I would like nothing better than to get Dr. Sumner here. I'm old enough to remember when the Gosses were here and Dr. Reynolds was here. That's the kind of care that you get from her. I cannot say enough good things about her. I think even for academics here, our students will learn to recognize the name Mercer University. They do a lot for lower income students that has nothing to do with medical school. But it gives them a presence here, and our kids in our school will learn about Mercer University. So there's more than just the medical care, which is the most important thing. But there is business development in our county and for things it can do for education. So that's my soapbox speech for today.
Thank you. I want to address a couple of things that you said. Thank you for sharing that information. At Ashburn, our average life expectancy is 72 years old. That is 4 years off from our state average, which is 76. And I also am a huge fan of Mercer. My niece is also very outspoken about potentially wanting to go to Mercer University, and very much love what they offer as a university. And finally, I agree that the development authority and figuring out a way for Mercer to be here is what I think this board, all of us wants to do. And I think that is why we all have shown up here today.
And I think when you all do that, you will find a way to make this happen.
I agree.
I mean, they're just from, and I'm as physically conservative as anybody in this room, I will say. Would you agree, John? But there's just sometimes you have to know when to spend some money in order to save your community or to bring more in. And there is a way to make this happen, but y'all just got to get your heads together
Exactly.
and come up with a plan that will work.
Exactly.
Because this Mercer has, I think, large support in this county. So it's the one thing I think most people can get behind, and that's
And
saying something.
I don't think that we're saying that it's not, and it's something that's worth spending the money on, it's what money do we spend? You know, SPOS has been mentioned, but SPOS gets mentioned a lot whenever there's something on the table. You can't spend money 3 times. We need to have a good strategy to say, how are we gonna get there, and making sure that we don't put ourselves in a situation where we cannot meet what we said we were gonna do financially, and in other ways.
And
So
I agree.
we just need to have a good strategy to get there, whether it's the county investing, using different varieties of funds through a grant or through the development authority. We just wanna have a plan and not do this emotional.
I certainly agree with you on that.
Cause you know, I'm all about the dollar. I'll make sure that I'm making sure that the dollars that I support being spent, I can defend to the citizens of Turner County. And I think Mercer's a great asset to Turner County, but we gotta make sure we do it in a way that doesn't hurt Mercer, doesn't hurt the rest of the community, and doesn't put us in a position we can't meet our other obligations to you as a taxpayer.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that, but there comes a time you have to consider health and finances on both. And when you have a community where the health is so bad, it is costing the county money. If you are in a county where there is poor health care, there are a lot of expenses that are kind of unseen, or people that cannot, I mean, for instance, my husband is on dialysis now, and he goes to the Southfield Dialysis Clinic in Tifton. I'm not expecting them to be a dialysis clinic here, but I tell you what I've seen. I've seen numerous people from this county that, have to go there, and then this county then is having to pay to transport people down there, you know, for that, where if there's earlier intervention with some of this stuff that causes kidney failure, that cuts those costs. I mean, there's just a lot of things, but I take what you're saying, I totally understand what you're saying.
Thank you. We have, Dr. Hewitt from Chris Regional. Sorry.
Yeah, Dave Kicker,
Dave
Chris
Kicker.
Regional again. I did want to, I feel like the ugly girl at the dance today, but, I want to introduce Dr. Ron Hewitt. He is here, he is full-time at our clinic there, along with the ASA Med Spa. He joined us in January. We are committed to Ashburn. We're also committed to working with Mercer in whatever way that we can. I guess, working in this business for 4 years, my only question that I would have in terms of clarity, most physician practice operations run at a deficit. They don't make money, they lose money. So for the citizens of the county, who's funding that ongoing operation, which is probably gonna be, if you have a doctor and an MVP, somewhere north of $250,000 to $300,000 loss a year. Who's funding that?
Bobby.
I appreciate y'all being here and being patient with our community and everything. A little bit on your business model, your normal clinics and all. Monday through Friday, work weekends, do we take walk-ins, is it appointment only? Just a little curious there.
We've not typically open Saturday, our doctors usually answer their phone when we have problems, so they tend not come to the clinic on those days. Not to say couldn't, maybe, but most of the time, it's not going on to open clinic. If you have an urgent care, you probably don't. We do have walk-ins, we do have appointments, have you scheduled your own online, you can call us, and answer the phone. We have an answering service.
Robert, is it still true that, the EMS is not reimbursed by insurance company, Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, if we transport to a clinic? It has to be transported.
That's correct.
That's still correct?
By state PPH, EMS laws, we can't pick up a patient and carry it to any clinic in Turner County. We have to go to an ER.
You know, I think we've tried hard to work on that, but it's, you know, there are elderly people who cannot get where they need to go, their children live in Atlanta, you know, it's, I used to be the EMS director, and I understand those issues. You know, it just, I think it doesn't make sense. Of course, you don't wanna tie these guys up doing that if somebody's having a heart attack.
If you offer radiology and lab services in Turner County, now we don't have to carry the certificate for those services. How many people we send for the fall injured wrist, the fall injured ankle, they're going to the emergency room for the 6-hour wait. They went by ambulance because they don't own the car. They could've got a ride to town, they could've shot the x-ray in our local facility and said, yes, it splinted it, provided a referral to an orthopedic, or done a simple lab test. If we had those services here. That's, my question is, are we gonna offer lab services? So that we don't have to utilize an ambulance. When we provide stitches, if a patient comes to your office and needs stitches, will y'all provide stitches? We do have an urgent care that is staffed by nurse practitioners, and mid-levels. There's never a physician there. Those things they don't do there. They don't have radiology services. They have very basic lab services, and they don't provide that urgent care services like we used to have when I was little, Dr. Goss, or, you know, the pharmacist would sew us up, you know. We don't have those. We would simplify the ambulance having to transport so many patients.
The vet in the planes often fill in for us, he just says that we can run. That was one first guy that would tell you. We do those things, we have an EKG, you know, we have the services you need in the clinic or whatever. I'm an internist, and so is Dr. Summer. We typically didn't learn to sew. My dad was a surgeon, so I know how to sew. I can take a shovel hook out of your nose, whatever you need. But those are skills that are not difficult. Now, in planes, early in our course down there, President Carter called me one night and said, Gina, I heard y'all turned away a lady at 4:45 and didn't help her because she cut her hand. I said, oh my gosh, I hope not. So I called the plane, sent somebody down there. What happened was she cut all the tendons in her hand, and they had stopped the bleeding. I found a hand surgeon that was waiting, and I think America's at that point arranged for her to go there and have her hand checked, go to the operating room. We don't do that kind of work, but we do first aid work or stop the bleeding, do whatever needs to be able to work. There's some things you cannot do, but things you can do.
I think a big deal about, a little bit about what Ben's talking about. Folks aren't gonna come to you, they're not gonna go to see Dr. Hewitt, they're not gonna go to the urgent care, because they can go to the hospital and tip for free. That's a large part of it, you know, and that's what, yes ma'am, it's a large part of what we see. Do I think it's gonna be able to decrease my business? Probably not, but I think the more facilities we have here, the better for sure.
Donna?
I used to work for Tip Regional too, until I joined, EMS, but, so with saying that you're doing labs, whatever, will you be able to do labs for any doctor, or x-rays for any doctor, or would it be in rural health, is it gonna be only your doctor?
There are rules around that, okay, there are rules that make you responsible for that lab, and that particularly with lab services like Quest, lab, you have to have a doctor in house. That does not mean that if somebody's my patient, but they saw the cardiologist, and the cardiologist wants them to have a proton at the office or something like that, we can do that, if they have a connection. But they're very specific rules, they're not our rules, they're just the world's rules.
Right, I know with rural health, as far as for Ashburn, that there were a lot of people that they wouldn't do because they're.
We're not a rural health clinic or an FQHC, and we aren't on purpose, because there's a lot of rules about that those guys have, and you know, that are federally mandated. So we are not that, we are a rural clinic, but we're not an official rural clinic.
Right, so like with x-rays, in which they have x-ray and all, but still, anybody that is doing any x-rays or labs for any doctor outside of Tip Regional would have to go somewhere else, and there's a lot of people in Turner County that can't go anywhere else, because there's been, me as a manager, they would come to me and like, I can't go because, I mean, my child charged me $20 to bring me up here, and it was so sad, I mean, to the point of, we have all everything out of our pocket to help them to go.
You know, every county's different, but I can tell you we're committed to patient care. So it may be that
situation out that way. There are ways around that, but you still have to practice good medicine.
Right.
And so it's just a matter of doing the right thing for the patient and making sure you take care of their needs.
Anyone else has a question? Mr.
I just want to say this, being, Rain's pharmacy representative, I see a lot of sick people every day too. And, the need is definitely there for good quality providers in our community. I'm not saying that other clinicians here aren't, but the walk-in clinics do not provide the services like Crisp Regional and Mercer would provide. I see people going out of town every day to different providers. And they could see them, if we had more providers here in the community, see them locally. As far as from the commissioner side, I understand the need for being fiscal responsible. But in my opinion, health care of the citizens of this community should be the number one priority of the county commissioners. Not only in EMS services, in the sheriff's services, to protect the community, provide the first responders for any accidents or heart attacks or whatever happens. Healthcare is a healthy community is what makes the community grow and thrive. If you don't have healthy citizens, you don't have a good, healthy workforce. I think that you should prioritize based on the importance in the community. Healthcare is, in my opinion, the number one priority for this community, for this county. So I think, if there's a possible way we can make this thing work with Mercer, it would be great for this community.
I would agree healthcare is very important, and I will also add that as part of the government organization, as it relates to healthcare, our primary commitment usually starts with our support to our health departments and providing support there. But I believe, Andy, you have a question as well?
Yeah, I know that y'all work with sheriff's offices, and we contract our nurse, we contract with the doctor. Of course, there's a lot of vendors out there that offer that service to, a doctor, but they're not gonna come to our office every day, but they do hire a nurse that stays at our facility 8 hours a day, or whatever we choose, we pay for it. Do y'all do that with any sheriff's offices where if your doctor's here, we could contract locally instead of out and have a nurse assigned to the jail? So whenever there's something that needs referring, it can be referred to the local doctor instead of going, waiting on that doctor to come here or just referring to another facility. So that's generally what happens.
Yeah, I know people that do those services. Do they come at all, or they do telehealth?
They do both. They'll do telemed and they'll come to the facility. Generally, the doctor comes at least twice a week, and then the nurse is there every day. That's what we pay for, 8-hour service. But like I said, when we transport, if we have to call, the nurse sends them out, we have to call ambulance, and then we have to carry them to the emergency room most of the time. And it could be for just a simple x-ray to see if the foot's broke or sprained or whatever, and it will save a trip to have to go to a hospital on either end of us, either county. We don't, 20 miles away, and then we send a deputy to sit with them, the whole time they're there. It'd be more convenient to go to a facility that can do more. I mean, we got great, medical service here. I go to the nurse practitioner here, and so it's just the ability to do more that would be, I think, useful for us, and stop having to travel to the hospital to get that service. So I just wondered if y'all done that outside the realm of just coming to the clinic.
Harris County physician developed a relationship with the sheriff in Harris County. My understanding is he goes to the jail, we have telehealth. We have one in the jail, we have high quality telehealth in that jail down there, where you can actually examine the patient, which helps. During the week, if we're here and somebody needs an x-ray or lab, and we want to examine them properly and see them in the office, I'm open, and I'm sure Elaine's open to working with the sheriff, whatever we can do.
pay for that, you know, I mean, we pay for that service, probably the salary of the nurse, and then whatever time the doctor spends, we pay it in a contract for that service. So I just wondered if y'all done that.
Does the nurse work for you or the?
She works for the facility, the doctor that we hire to, work for them. And the other thing was, is that building gonna have to be repaired either way, whoever gets in it? County's gotta fix that building, no matter what.
Not necessarily. Someone could buy it as is, if they wanted to. Do we have any more questions? Oh, yes.
The people that do the kind of work that would need to be done on the building, sometimes would volunteer a day to come in and do, so you wouldn't have to worry so much about a lot of money being spent, like a carpenter, if a wall needed to be taken down or moved, or shelves or whatever like that, they would volunteer to come in and do that. Or a painter, he would come in and volunteer to paint one day, you just have to ask. You know, you wouldn't have to spend a lot of money to do the building.
Do we have any more questions?
I want to make one more comment. You said possibly finding a buyer. That building as it is only good for a clinic. That's all it's good for. So if you think you're gonna sell that to somebody else to get your money out, you're wishful thinking.
Anyone else have a question? Mary, any questions from you all at the back of the table? I know this building was initially bought to be a place to expand our health department, and I believe we didn't want to do the renovations to complete the funding so that you guys would find the place acceptable for you to move in, and you're still outstanding, waiting support from the board to help with your own renovations that we haven't been able to move forward with yet. Do you all have any comments?
I'm Mark Ains, I'm the director for this district, Ashburn County, certainly part of it. We're happy to be here. We'd be pleased to have someone with the quality of Mercer here. I have two daughters who graduated from Mercer undergraduate, one daughter who's a pediatrician and graduated from medical school. Quality folks. But that's a personal opinion. What I see here is that everybody wants the same end point, it's just how to get there, right? And so I think it's something that's worth working through. The building is a big obstacle for that, but I think it's something that's worth working through. I noticed that some of you said something about you went in the building in Clay County with public health, or maybe y'all partnered with public health.
When we redid the old hospital, we put public health in that, into the building.
And we're not opposed to some way of working with them. I don't think they're running that building for both of us, but we're not opposed to working with them in any way. We do labs, by the way. We draw lines at our facilities, and I didn't know that. We do that, and then we communicate the results back to the physicians. And the lab does too. They have that responsibility. But we're here to help you. I'm not a resident of this county, but it's good to see people here. It really is. It's good to see interest here, and I want the best for your community as you do. And public health is ready to stand with you in whatever way we can.
Thank you, Dr. I hope that this board can also move forward with supporting you all and the renovations that are required in your building as well, that you all have been requesting for a while. Any more thoughts and comments today?
I just wanted to dispel a rumor. So I made a post, I've gotten feedback from folks that, they're being told that the decision on Mercer is tied to a decision on the county pool. That is absolutely not the case. There's nothing being discussed about a county pool at this point in time. This is a separate discussion. So if anyone is telling you that it's between a pool and Mercer, they're misleading you. It's just not happening. So, I've gotten a number of calls about that, and I'm like, no, not happening. So please, if someone says that, correct them, that is not a part of this discussion.
So we're not talking about a pool anymore. I didn't want to clear that up.
I'm saying that there is no, that a pool is not tied to this decision.
Oh, it's just not tied.
There's no pool being discussed in any way at this point in time.
As a fairly new resident of Turner County,
I was born and raised in Crisp County, but, I did move to Turner, made that choice. And, so I'm a fairly new tax revenue for the county. I would love to see my taxes go to good use. And I think for I love the fact that Mercer's considering Turner County to come here. And I think for every negative that could come up, you know, I think there's a positive that can overrule it. So if you want the county to grow, you know, you gotta have growth. And I consider that growth, you know. And so, like we've been saying, a healthy community is a growing community. So, you know, I'm in all support of it.
Yes. I know this probably doesn't affect what people think here, but I am a Fairview resident of Turner County. And I came here from the Newnan, Georgia, Columbus, Georgia area. And finding health care has been, it's been something for me. Not what I was used to.
All right, we have one more question and.
No, I don't have a question,
Okay.
I've got a comment.
Okay.
But it's kind of what you said. I follow Dr. Sumner because she's been my doctor for years and years and years and years. Nobody better in the United States of America, the world to see. But whenever I went to Plains the other day, it's really wonderful because when you turn from America's going toward the Plains, there's this wonderful restaurant. It's Gladys's Kitchen. If you ever go up there, oh my gracious, it's awesome. The next thing is I went to the base when I was coming out and I dropped $100 there. So, as you're saying, when you come into a town, you're gonna eat there. Most of the time, you go up there to French Market or wherever the little things are, you're gonna spend money there. And then you're probably gonna get some gas. You may not, you may do, but I know you're gonna get a drink somewhere, you know? And, to me, that brings money in. I'm just one person, but just think how many people they see in a day. And I can guarantee you, a lot of those that are going to Plains, Georgia, are not from Plains, Georgia. They're not from Americas. They're from Valdosta, Aldini, Tipton. I'm sure they've got a lot of, because I know a lot of people that are going up there.
Thank you. All
And
right.
if you go to Plains, go to Buffalo Cafe. That's right.
Maybe we'll get one of those soon.
Just bring Dr. Sumner here.
All right, with that, I don't think we need an executive session for anything. Motion to adjourn? Oh, the surveys, everyone who filled out their surveys, can you please drop them up for us to the front, or drop them over to Latrice, she'll take care of those for you. And again, we thank you all for coming, we really appreciate a turnout like this. I wish we could get a turnout like this at every county commissioner meeting. Thank you all, and y'all have a great day.
Jerry, how you doing? I'm good.
I think my audio died. I'm sorry.